Welcome to the Investor Fuel Real Estate Investing Show, where I interview the nation's top real estate entrepreneurs, industry leaders, and other amazing entrepreneurs to help educate and inspire you to take your business and your life to the next level. My goal is to add tremendous value to you during every single episode of this show. If you get value, I'd love it if you subscribe on your favorite podcast player, subscribe on YouTube, and my very favorite, please share this with your community so we can impact even more entrepreneurs. Let's start today's show. Hey, everybody. Welcome back to the show. Today, I'm here with Matt Shepard. We're going to be talking about some really cool stuff that how he's using AI in his business as a real estate investor for marketing and also building an AI clone of himself to help manage his team where they can ask his clone questions. He's essentially kind of built a second brain where people can get most of the answers without having to go through him and without him having to be the bottleneck on the business, freeing up his time to do other things. So really cool stuff. Looking forward to talking about that today. So Matt, good to see you.
Yeah, glad to be here.
Yeah. So I know you're in the Denver market. I know you're out on a rehab right now. So this is raw and real, I guess, here in terms of kind of being out on the job. So, hey, before we jump in, tell us a little bit about your background. I know you started around the same time that I did, 2008 or 9 or so in the business, but I know you also, your family's been in the real estate business for a long, long time. So we're going to talk about that a little bit more, but tell us kind of high level about you and how you got into the real estate space.
Yeah, so we started investing in Denver Metro about 2009. Interesting thing about my kind of big overall background is like if I was going to call myself just a contractor or somebody in the trades, I would probably be like a third generation person in the trades. So my great grandfather was a carpenter, uh, provided for his family with carpentry. Grandpa did the same thing. Dad did the same thing. And then oddly enough, my wife, her dad put her through college by being a master electrician. So kind of deep into the trades, kind of gave me the confidence to start out in real estate and know that I could fit just about anything on a property that I could need to or run into. So
Yeah.
we've invested in Denver Metro since 2009. Kind of started out both feet in, did 2 rentals at the same time, build our rental portfolio, kept doing fix and flips here and there to get more cash in order to be able to do more rentals. So just build our rental portfolio up in Denver Metro until the point where we couldn't get any more rentals. So this is kind of before you could get special financing, special DSCR financing. We had more rentals than most banks and whatnot would want to lend on anymore. Now you can get 20, 30 portfolio loans to be able to just build a massive portfolio. Back then, we kind of got stuck at like 20 units.
Yeah. So with a bunch of tradespeople in your family, were they primarily dealing with kind of retail buyers or homeowners? And sometimes I know there's a lot of tradespeople that work with investors and they always like wish they could do that too. Like there's a lot of people that find their way in there in those trades. So were they working with investors and are they is it something that they, I guess, saw in you that they're like, I've always wanted to do that myself. I mean, did you get some of that?
I got a little bit of that, but most of my family always did retail stuff, remodels for a homeowner. I mean, great grandpa would build you a house from the ground up for your homeowner. This was, in fact, he was a Depression era person, so this was back in the 1930s, 40s, 50s. He would build you a house. You had a piece of land, he'd build you a house on it. He did just about everything. My father-in-law, though, he did a lot of commercial work. So he did work for massive companies. He lived in Boston and ran a massive commercial electrical business. And so he would do skyscrapers for investors and stuff like that.
Wow. That's cool. And you're primarily, I know you said you started to do some syndications now too. So for, I guess, 15, 16, 17 years, you've been primarily doing single family, but doing more larger deals and stuff now, kind of moving in that direction a little bit as well.
I mean, I think it's just kind of a natural progression. You get 1 or 2 single families, 3, 4, 5, 6 single families, and you're like, What about a duplex? What about a quadplex? And then all of a sudden you're buying 6, 8, 12 unit properties and building your door count that way. So I can't remember exactly when we started getting duplexes, quads. It was fairly early on. Like I think we had 5 or 6 single families, and then we found a quad, or no, then we found a duplex, and then we found a quad, and now we're personally doing 6, 8 unit deals, and then looking to syndicate stuff that's probably 5 million and above, depending on the
Yeah.
market. You could get 30 to 50 units for that, and then I don't go much beyond 100, 150 units. Just gets a little big. Kind of try and stay like lean and mean, just me. Um, Select individuals that I really like to work with.
Yeah.
I went the route of having employees back in like 2014, 16, and just really didn't like it. It's way more overhead, way more stuff. I mean, try and feel like I can scale by helping other people do their thing instead of scale by getting employees.
Yeah. Yep. No, I think you're right. It is an evolution. I flipped hundreds of houses, and then I realized that I wanted to have more rentals, and the way to move the needle was to start to do some larger syndications with other members of Investor Fuel. So we started doing deals. Been a GP on quite a few deals between 15 and 50 million, and so they just kind of moves the needle faster when you can find those big deals. So. Of course, it's been a slow time for deals like that as well over the past couple of years, but that'll start to pick up here in the next year or so.
So
Yeah, hope so. Yeah. So let's talk about the AI stuff. This is really fascinating. We were talking ahead of time, and I've heard of a few other people doing things like this, not necessarily in the real estate space, but it doesn't really matter what industry you're in. Of this idea of kind of doing a brain dump of like everything that and training an AI clone of yourself so that people that have questions for you can just basically ask the question of the clone, and it'll give it just, you've trained it to basically think just like you. So maybe first you could just kind of explain that a little bit better than I did, like what that looks like. And then maybe we could talk about some kind of practical uses for entrepreneurs and real estate investors of like how to use that to kind of free up your time. So maybe first tell us a little bit about explain that better than me. Like what is that? What does that clone look like?
I mean, you explained it pretty well. Um, Kind of the cutting edge company that's got the platform to do these AI clones is called Delphi, Delphi. And you go on there and you set up a clone. I mean, obviously you're paying monthly for the service, but you basically train it with everything that you possibly could train it with on your own. Like this podcast, once it's up and ready, I'll upload it to my phone and it'll know what I talked about on this podcast. If I do a blog post, I'll upload that to my phone. If I do, sometimes even if I'm just having a conference call with an mentee or something like that, I'll bring that, uh, I'll bring that meeting, record the meeting, and I'll bring that in. So the phone knows exactly how to talk like me, like even my Mac and stuff like that. Sometimes I like to use some British slang like brilliant or something like that, and my phone will do that. So you talk to it and you get like a sense of exactly who I am and how I speak and what I talk about and what I know. The value for me is like I'm pretty serious about my family time. So like if it's after 6 p.m., you probably will not hear it. So if you have a question at 8 p.m., you can go to my phone and you can say, hey, like, what do I do about the fact that closing got delayed on my deal, or I found electrical problems on my deal, and now what do I do about it? So if something's keeping you up at night at 2 a.m. and you're a mentee or whatever of me, you can go to my phone and you can get, some advice, and maybe you'll sleep a little better, and we'll talk personally one-on-one the next day or something like that.
Yeah. or maybe not because the question's already been answered, right?
Yeah, maybe they say, hey, just want to shoot you a message that your phone made everything better for me last night, and I'll be like,
Yeah.
great.
So talk about you talked about kind of like students or things like that, but do you use these things in your operations of your business? Do you have, is your team able to go kind of ask questions and like, how should we do X with this project, or things around maybe acquisitions or around, we're going to talk about marketing here in a little bit, but if your team has questions, are they able to are you using the clone in that way as well for just the operations of your business?
Yeah, I mean, if there's something that somebody needs me for, I'm almost always going to say, did you ask my phone first? Like, because my phone can answer any question that I can. And obviously, if
Yeah.
you can't, then I need to make an adjustment and do some more training for my phone. But like, I'll use it for anything. I had a mentee partner on a deal, and she had another deal where she was trying to figure out how to refinance and sell. She had bought a duplex, and she separated them so she could sell them individually. But then the market was kind of rough for her, so she wanted to keep one and then sell one. And we talked about it, and she could have easily have gone to my phone, and my phone gave her the exact answer that I gave her. She wanted a little more personal touch, but my phone could have done the exact same thing.
Yeah, that's great. That's great. Yeah, I was just trying to, I think, all of us, one of the challenges with a lot of entrepreneurs and real estate investors is we tend to answer the same questions over and over and over again. And, but this is an amazing way to potentially start to kind of build this out so that if folks are asking you questions, especially if it's contractors or people on your team or whatever, and they're like, I don't really know, what to do here, they can go ask your clone and probably pretty good chance they're going to get it taken care of.
And it's just a mind shift that you have to kind of get yourself wrapped around too. Like this thing, whether you want to call it a thing, a person, entity, whatever you want to call it, can do just about anything. So it's like, why not let it do it?
Yeah.
Like it can tell you just about anything, and it's pretty darn right. So like, just let it do it. Like, so I even catch myself sometimes, like, why am I doing this when my phone can do it? Why am I doing this when
Yeah.
ChatGPT could do it and do it just as well as it?
Yeah. What are some things that it can't do? Probably look at specific deals and say like, here's the offer and things like that. I mean, what are some things that it can't quite do at least yet?
It is not quite very good at doing finances yet. Uh, doesn't do well with spreadsheets, so it can't really analyze spreadsheets. So you can kind of get it to do like a really high level cursory analysis of a deal, but then once you start like digging into the financials, you got to put a person on that. Um, I really wanted to swing a hammer. Haven't figured that one out yet. Suppose Elon Musk will probably get it. Suppose Musk
They're
will probably get
coming.
us a
The
robot.
the
Yeah,
humanoid robots are coming.
yeah. I expect he'll get us a robot, and then it'll be powered by AI. And then we're in for a rude awakening because anybody who's a
Yeah.
trade person is not going to be able to have a job. But I'll figure that one out when it comes to it, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
So let's
I programmed my AI with my personality, my mannerisms, my desires, wants, my pain points. So it can do just about anything you want it to do. And you can even like tell it to be kind of snarky. Like it could be like kind of mean to you if you want it to, or you could train it to be super nice and very flowery. You can do either.
Yeah, yeah, that's great. And you can keep modifying it as well. So you have the ability to go look and see what questions were asked and how was it answered, and then you can say, "Nah, I would do that a little bit differently." You basically kind of program it to say, "If you're asked this again, here's a better way to say that or a better way to respond." Right?
Yeah, like a perfect example is one time I gave my VA an assignment to go talk to my clone about doing a bio for me, and it it said that I was raised in a two-parent household, and I was actually raised by my grandparents and my mother. So like I just never thought to train my AI on that. And I was
Yeah.
like, oh, I need to go here and make that change and train my AI on that. So I just made that change quick and retrained my AI.
Yeah. Yeah. So let's talk about how you're using AI in for marketing. So you kind of made a comment that AI is largely running all your marketing kind of efforts, and I think it's fascinating. So let's talk a little bit about how you're using AI for marketing.
Yeah, so I've done the background work to make sure that my AI is trained up to be able to spit out good content for essentially my social media. I majorly use it for my like top of funnel social media campaigns and stuff like that. But I've trained it to be able to spit out good content and do good posts. And then my VA has access to that one custom GPT is what it's called because pretty much I only use ChatGPT. And then she just goes in there and says, hey, let's generate 3 posts for April 21st or whatever, or let's generate 3 posts a day for the week of April 20th through the 25th. And he goes in there and it spits out things and she sends it back to me and I glance through it and I'm like, yep, it's all good. Go ahead and post it all. So there's like, I couldn't even tell you how much time that wasted because I kind of hate social media. Like I'm always trying to post and stuff like that, but it's kind of brain damage for me. It's not my
Yeah.
go-to thing. So like that saves me tons of time.
And to clarify, so it sounds like these are probably text posts, right? It'll write up uh text, right? So this is not video stuff.
Oh, so actually, brilliant, cutting edge. As of last week, I think it was last week, ChatGPT will now do um, pictures, graphics, stuff like that. And
Right.
then if I want to do video, I actually can, but that one usually requires me to get into it and massage. Yeah, I don't think my VA can do that for me. But a lot of times,
Yeah.
if I want to do a video or something, like I'll do video walkthroughs. That's on my YouTube channel. Projects that we're doing, just so people can see what we're doing. But a lot of times when I do that, I'll just send it to my VA, and my VA just sets it up for me.
Yeah. And a lot of, so we're referring to this as your marketing. A lot of this is organic social media content. And who's your target for that? You're trying to find actually home sellers, distressed sellers, or is this more like agents and title companies and other people that could be like a lead, like a referral source? Like who's this like what is the avatar for your content? Would you say?
So I'm really trying to work with first generational wealthy people who bootstrapped or whatever, got their money through building a business or something like that, and have
Okay.
become successful, but really want to buy back their time and really want to provide some kind of a lasting generational wealth that they didn't have to their kids, whether it's paying for college, whether it's setting money aside so that they've got some generational wealth to build something new when they come of age or whatnot. So all my social media is targeted to this client of mine who would be an LP who's probably 35 to 45, and he's probably bootstrapped himself into a solid business and has been a successful entrepreneur and now really wants to just figure out how to keep his wealth without continuing to be working 80 hours a week.
Yeah. Okay. So it's more for raising money.
Yeah, it's more for my capital raising endeavors for LPs and syndication.
Yep.
But
Yep.
um, just knowing who you need to market to is half the battle. So once you know who you need to market to, you can market to anybody using ChatGPT. If you tell me that you want to find home sellers who just lost their leg in a tractor accident, we can get that unique on ChatGPT.
Wow. Yeah. So maybe while we're talking about it, maybe you could share a little bit about what you're not doing yet with AI that you think is kind of coming. Like, talk a little bit about where you think AI is going and how it could, I mean, we don't have to get into the scary stuff like it's going to basically take over and get rid of humans and things like that, but more of just like practical uses that are coming soon for entrepreneurs that are not quite there yet.
Um, it doesn't really do video like we were talking about. So you have to kind of shoot your own video and probably have it edit the video. I think it's
Hmm.
pretty close because it can now do any kind of image generation just within 3 minutes. It can generate you an image of a contractor swinging a hammer, a dad playing with his kids, mom playing with his kids. Generate just about anything as far as image now. Video is probably the next thing. But even some of that's available. It just takes a little more input from a human.
Yeah.
Like I said, I still think the next thing is probably some kind of robots that can do just about anything that a human can do. Swing
Yeah.
hammers,
Yeah.
build houses, whatnot.
It's an interesting time to be alive for sure. And we're just the tip of the iceberg. Yeah. Cool. Yeah, I think a lot of the video stuff you're talking about, like what's kind of there now that I've seen is pretty dang close is the faceless video stuff. So if you essentially can sound like you can program AI to sound like you and talk like you and think like you, just like you've already done, but create video that's not necessarily a rendering of you, but it's you talking and then they're showing kind of B-roll or other things that are kind of faceless, that there's this whole like
Yeah, the
uprising of
B-roll thing
people
is
creating
totally
faceless
available.
YouTube channels that are just like pumping out tons of content on faceless YouTube. It could be about motivation or mindset or things like that. And so there's a massive amount of that going on already.
Yeah, the B-roll thing is totally there already. You can kind of cut back and forth between you doing your thing and then have AI generate the B-roll. So that's totally there already. Um, I just don't know if we could have our two AIs have a conversation right now like we're doing quite yet. But probably going to
Yeah.
be there soon.
Yeah. 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 It's weird because you don't know, it's kind we're getting to the point now where you often don't know what's real or what's AI. So, yeah, interesting time.
Especially with the new graphics from ChatGPT. You used to kind of tell, AI would mess up graphics, letters would be inverted, letters would be like kind of weird, not all the same typeface or something like that. But now, this new rollout from ChatGPT, I think it was just like last week, uh, their image generation just got 100% better.
Yeah. Yeah. Awesome. Well, Matt, thanks for sharing some insights with us today. I think it's an interesting time for sure for those that aren't using AI yet for their business. I mean, you're going to make sure you don't get left behind. So you've shared some interesting things here. There's actually several things that we talked about today that got my wheels turning that I'm going to go look into for myself. So I appreciate that. So, hey, if folks want to connect with you or learn more about what you're doing, like where can they go?
The big thing I like to do is Instagram. So Matt Shepard, RE Investor on Instagram. And then LinkedIn's the same thing, Matt Shepard, RE Investor. Those are my two go-tos. Um, Post a little bit to X, not much. Post a little bit to Facebook, again, not much. My website is AMS Capital, LLC.com. Pretty much everything flows through there. You can contact me there. You can book a meeting with me there. You can talk to my AI there. You can read my blog posts. I've published 2 books, international best-selling author on both of those books. So you can read
Nice.
both of those books there. One's about kind of my start in real estate, how I got from, bootstrapping myself through college to real estate. And then one's kind of about how you can buy back your time if you're trying to figure out how to buy back your time from the normal 9 to 5 and still build wealth for your family.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, we'll add links down below for all this stuff we just mentioned here. So thanks for sharing your story and sharing some insights with us today.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Glad we could connect.
Yeah, for sure. And everybody, hope you got some good insights and knowledge from today. Make sure you're keeping an eye on AI and trying to find ways to make yourself more efficient. That's just the world we live in these days. So make sure you're taking full advantage of it. Appreciate you guys. We'll see you on the next show. Thanks for joining us for today's show. You can learn more about the amazing benefits of the Investor Fuel Mastermind community, including surrounding yourself with hundreds of other rock stars, 100% financing on your deals, and members-only discounts from vendors you're likely already using that, as a member of Investor Fuel, will save you more than the cost of your membership. Visit investorfuel.com to learn more. You can also check out the show's notes for access to free resources, how to get access to world-class lead generation, and even how to work with me directly one-on-one. Don't forget to subscribe so you never miss another episode. See you on the next show.